what age did you begin playing basketball, and like where was it? Was it like on a seasonal team, like a Wham, or was it, where was it?
Okay, so my basketball upbringing is different. Like I grew up in New York. So I mean for me, like I just grew up around a culture of basketball. And then my dad introduced basketball to my sister and I because we used to live right across the street from a park, like literally like right across the street. So like I could see it from my front door. So we would just go to the park. I mean, it's nothing like it was now. You know what I'm saying? Like him teaching me, like I still remember like shooting underhand in second grade, as opposed to like kids nowadays that are like shooting overhand, crossing people up and everything like that. I didn't end up playing on a team until I moved to Arizona in seventh grade because I played soccer and like just ran, honestly. Like running was like a big thing. So there was like a running club. What is it at school? And I was on the soccer team. But then coming to Arizona, you have to play, or I had to play at least like flag football, soccer, baseball, and basketball. So I don't know. I was decent, but I remember eighth grade year, dude, and I'll never forget. My team lost 72-0. Like I had just come back from missing like a month of school because of pneumonia. And like my teammates were so embarrassed at one point, they wouldn't go like into the game. So like I had to play the whole game, just coming back from pneumonia. The parents are celebrating. And at that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm never losing this bad at anything again. So I started playing basketball basically like the middle of like my eighth grade year. And yeah, ended up playing at Notre Dame Horizon and St. Paul's Academy, which doesn't exist anymore, and had to walk on NAU. So that's my experience with basketball.
That's cool. That's cool. So what age do you think you were probably introduced to basketball? You first were just like, I don't know, you first picked up a basketball and just started shooting around.
I think like I was definitely introduced to basketball probably when I was like 6 or 7, but I feel like I really fell in love with the game when I was 12 or 13. Because what I forgot to mention is between my eighth grade and my ninth grade year, it was probably like the most important thing that happened to me in my basketball career. My mom moved where me, my sister, and her were living to like right behind where the Desert Ridge sign is, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. My next door
North
neighbor,
Phoenix.
yeah, my next door
Yeah.
neighbor was this former Mr. Basketball, like former Arizona Mr. Basketball. So like I put a hoop out in front, and like that's how him and I met. Cause he just started shooting on my hoop randomly, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" Like shooting on my hoop, and like he wasn't missing at all, bro. And like it was like the only thing comparable I can think of it is like he was like showing me like Steph Curry stuff before like Steph Curry existed. Like he would, because like he had played with so many former pro players and stuff like that. So like we'd be playing horse, and he'd be like, okay, make a three, bet. And then he'd be like, all right, swish a three. And like took me the longest time. And then he'd be like, swish two. And then like we just be like shooting around, and he'd be like, you gotta swish like 10 shots, or you gotta bank 10 shots. Like it was the first time like he really gave me an idea of what it took to be successful, and showed me like just a lot of things that I use even to this day, where now like even if it's like some new age hokey thing that I'm applying, like it's still rooted in something fundamental that he instructed me or showed me how to do at such a young age. So I don't know. That's why I like basketball training so much. To me, like it's like an extension of what he was doing for me. Like like I look at basketball training almost like it's like horse. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm showing you how to do an exercise. You have to do it a certain amount of times, and then like I'm just putting a bunch of extra rules around it. So basketball training to me, like I almost enjoy it as much as like a game, or like watching a game to me, because it's like very interactive and personable. So yeah, I don't know. That's my experience with basketball.
That's cool. I think I'm probably not too far off. Obviously, I never met a Mr. Basketball, but um I'd say I probably was first started playing around 5 or 6. I'd probably say 6, and I played, just seasonal teams like, like a Wham or um, anything like that. And I mean, that was mostly what I did, just because obviously elementary schools didn't really have AAU or any school teams, and I don't think my parents were really aware of like club basketball, so I never really got into that until more my last couple of years of high school. But I mean, it was just, every time that season, basketball season came around, I was in it. And um, being 6'6" now, I was always taller than everybody else. So most of my coaches while I grew up never honestly really taught me a lot other than the basic, you'd go to practice and, you do some dribbling drills or, you do some shooting, but like no coach ever really sat me down and tried to teach me any skills. It was always, hey, go stand underneath the basket because you apparently going to get all the rebounds because you're taller than everybody. And I mean, and I remember, I don't remember, it had to have been any time like 8, 9, or 10 that my coach had given me the nickname the mound round of rebound. Obviously I wasn't really aware, and that was mostly just because I was killing it rebounding like Barkley, but at the time I was not aware of the you
Like the
know
ref.
yeah of where that name came from. Of I was not aware of Charles Barkley at the time. So but I mean, so I definitely had a lot, absolutely all the kids that we would coach at Hoop Coach 100% more skilled than me at their age. 100%. Like I was not dribbling a ball like that at all. And I wish I would have listened to my dad a little bit more. I was pretty stubborn to like, I didn't want to listen to the things he had to say. And I mean, for the most part, I mean, my dad was a pretty successful basketball player in that he played, he was I think he's like for his school, like one of the top players to ever play like at his school. But it was like, it was a Division 3 school, but hey, Division 3s are competitive. So, he was a bucket back in the day. And again, we were talking the other night about, older guys seem to just have that shot. And my dad got it mid-range. He was just he was a bucket, even 40s, 50s, probably not so much now, but but before, man, yeah, you a bucket, give him a ball and he would just swish it. I'm like, I don't even understand it. So
Bro,
um
like it's like you said, like it's something that like all older basketball players have. And it's like the most captivating thing to like younger basketball players. Cause I feel like when you're young, you're like just shooting in motion or shooting in rhythm. Whereas like, I don't know, bro. Like even I still remember it. I was at my friend Kurt Modi's house and just this random guy, like, bro, we're out there playing basketball. He just pulls up. He's like, yo, can I see it real quick? And like, we like pass him the ball and he's like, City League champ. Ah, and he like, he did like 3 or 4 threes, bro, like from the right side. And it was the coldest thing. It was like a right hand pull up, and he was stepping into it right, left, and it was just glass. And it would bounce back the same way every time. And like when you see stuff like that, like, I don't know, not only is it inspiring, but that's like, I feel like that's what it's all about, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, not only from a training aspect, but just basketball culture. Like, it's just so cool. Like,
I had a one moment like that where I hope I inspired one of the kids. I had a buddy who was kind of doing like he was like a young kids AAU coach, and I was helping him out every now and then with practices and that. And one of the kids, I had thrown it behind the back pass while we were doing a 3-on-2, 2-on-1 continuous. And the next play, when he went, he tried to mimic me, and he threw it out of bounds. And I was like, dude, you're not there yet. And so we're going on the next play, and I think we were doing ones. This was towards the end, so I wasn't taking it seriously. I kind of did a little step back three. I had missed, and so again, the same kid tried to do the same thing. He mimicked me. He did the exact same move that I did, exact same spot, everything, and he missed as well. I was like, dude, you got to quit. I was like, you're not ready yet for that. And he's like, you missed too. I was like, I bet. So I went out. I was probably, again, it was still a high school basketball court, but I was about 3-4 steps out from the 3-point line, and just bang, bang, bang. I hit 3 shots in a row. Next 3 kids were just all out, and I was like, dude, I'm telling you, I was like, y'all are not ready, and I've never done anything as cold as that since then. But I'm hoping that at that moment I had inspired somebody to be like, oh shit, okay, if we keep working, hell yeah, we can show off like that.
Yeah.
And I need those moments to happen a little bit more often, but
it will, man, especially this summer. I'm telling you, once we really start training, it's wraps, bro. It's
100% it's gonna be wraps.